There are at least 1,000 deaths and rebirths in the arc of a single day, masquerading as moments of pure mundanity. When Thich Nhat Hanh tells us that there is no birth, no death, I really want to believe the guy. The energy that connects all beings is a gleaming force. I have felt course through my body. I have done everything I desire. I have accomplished nothing. I have lived the life I envisioned. I did not get any of what I wanted. I remain grateful and dissatisfied. Cloud, wave, sheet of paper, waiting patiently to be transcribed, transformed, afforded the opportunity to reveal the cosmos its emptiness contains. And maybe there's some people that don't know about Thich Nhat Hanh. If you don't know about him, he's a Vietnamese monk. He lives in France. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King. So if that's not enough to get you interested, I don't know what would. So every April, people get involved in a poem a day project for National Poetry Month. And so in 2020, National Poetry Month was, like less than a month after everything sort of shut down. So I did my National Poetry Month, and I'm going to read sort of a suite of those poems that I wrote and posted online during April 2020. The first one, the title of it, comes from Ursula K. Le Guin. You cannot buy the revolution. You cannot make the revolution. You can only be the revolution. It is in your spirit, or it is nowhere. Ursula K. Le Guin, The Dispossessed. No growth without suffering. No evolution without letting go of habit-forming thoughts. Cannot help until you can imagine the other as your mother. Begin transformation's divine spin. Experience the benign vertigo of new worlds being born within. Listening lesson with love for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Face to face with intuition's solemn whisper, thoughts oscillate between order and disarray, wisdom and nonsense, paranoia and suffering, engendered by the hubris of ignoring spirit's directive, resisting the path until it is lost in the fog of Maya. I've spent more of my life alone than with someone in that relationship sense. And every day of the pandemic, I thought about my friends who were living alone or were just alone for one reason or another. And so this poem is for them. Skin Hunger Blues. The endless search for the perfect word, the precise choice, a sigil with the weight to convey the roiling hunger of this skin, the loneliness of the human heart, dying without the reassurance of a hand upon the flesh. We all have a lot of time to surf the internet, right? So I learned that skin hunger is a thing. It's a real thing. I don't think that most people have experienced skin hunger. Need an article on the internet to confirm that for them. That's okay. I changed the title of this poem today. I added 2 words. See if you can guess which 2 words I added to the title. Premillennialist death cult jackpot. Some motherfuckers may not admit that this is the apocalypse they prayed for. Complete with Antichrist. You got your plague, your anarchy, collapse of civilization, except there won't be no rapture, no white Jesus coming forward to carry them home. I think they should just be honest about that part.
Yeah, right.
I think the rest of us were concentrating on living through the year, but hey, For Tony, who suggested we write love poems to each other after reading Kenneth Patchen's poems for Miriam.
Woohoo!
When I see my sweet little cupcake smile, I want to be the reason for all that joy. The man who can see the little girl in saddle shoes and brings her the moon because the queen of all my dreams deserves it. Let's dance and make love and laugh and argue and discuss the state of the world and kiss and hold hands and read poems to each other, savoring each and every present moment we have before ourselves betray us.
Oh, yeah.
So sweet. This whole thing is.
It's a very different kind of poem. I actually just kept them chronological, but yeah, and I'm not reading all 30 of them to you, obviously, so it's interesting, some of the relationships you may notice happening here. This has nothing to do with throwing the remote. Pout like that again, and I'll bite you hard. Suck on it till I'm full, then devour you whole, consumed by this compulsion to swallow it all. Want you inside me, slide down my throat, course through, no question regarding our connection. Furthermore, I want to be loved, nay, adored. No amount will ever suffice. They always told me I could have anything I wanted, and you're next. So, I lead creative writing workshops, which is really fun. And people have all these ideas in their head that sometimes are just, they're self-created. It's not like a teacher or a parent or anybody or even another poet ever said it to them. They all have these weird ideas about what's allowed, what's not allowed, what we can do and what we can't do. So one of the reasons why workshops exist is to help to remind writers that it's all possible, that the possibilities are limitless. And one of the things that poets forget, people who listen to poems forget this, but poets really forget it sometimes, is that we're allowed to make shit up.
Yeah.
We're allowed to tell stories that don't happen to be true, like the poem I just read you, because it was fun.
Thank you.
Okay, so if any of you were waiting for permission to make shit up, please, you have my permission.
Yes.
And I guess this is kind of true. Isn't it fucking annoying when poets say, this is a true story? What makes an individual valuable? Barbara Lee Canton. What makes an individual valuable? How does one measure it? How to properly respect our complexities, the fractal web of our many contradictions. Does a person's value increase according to our knowledge of their actions? There's so much we never see. Close your eyes. Envision the enemy. Make a list of your judgments. Would your choices survive the same scrutiny? Is your conscience clear? Have you managed to make it this far without hurting anyone? Without making any mistakes? Can you let go of their imagined transgressions?
Yeah.
We also talk a lot about questions in these workshops because Allen Ginsberg is the person that made me want to be a poet. There are a lot of people who feel that way. I went to the school that he started because of that, and then the poet Ed Sanders, who is incredibly important to me, had gone through all of Ginsberg's poetry and started counting the questions in every poem.
Wow.
It was mind-blowing. And the thing about including questions in your poems is it's like you're laying something in the reader or the listener's hand to possibly contemplate. You're not at the top of the hill with the robes on going, this is how it is. We do that sometimes too, but there's a really different feeling if you pose a question. It's gentler somehow, no matter what the fucking question is. The pulse of the poem licks the page in syncopated time. Steel type swings down with force, enough to strike through the aching emptiness of the blank page in repose. Enough to cause the page to ripple with a quiver, then allow you to flip her over, trembling in anticipation of the next offering. The impression of 1,000 sigils dripping in reverse. These leaves of grass yawp as they reverberate with the promise of the dawn.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that came from other than being afraid of dying and everyone around me dying, but I'm so glad that it came, I wanted to read one to the Zoomers. Hi Zoomers, I'm so glad you're here. As frustrated as I am with having to do this almost every day, all the time, we don't want to leave them out. So here's a fun poem from pandemic times for my friends on Zoom. Your president wants you dead. Infected. Veins filled with disinfectant. Starving. Destitute. Intubated. Suffering. Because you ignored the scientists in favor of the thug who daily destroys our democracy. Your president, not mine.
Poor Zoomers.
I think you get one. That seemed like the best one to do in somebody's face. Their virtual face. We won't soon forget the spring we stayed inside to stay alive. Alone, together, staring at screens with a desperate need for answers and good news. Writing, sobbing, worrying, waiting for the nightmare to end. Paying for the sins of the corrupt and the willfully ignorant.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the sort of suite of the April 2020 poems. Now a few other things to share with you. So my brother Greg was born on July 4th, 1976. So when he's 80 years old, if he's still around when he's 80, he'll still be called in our family the bicentennial baby. So tomorrow, for me, is my brother's birthday. That's what it is every year. Celebrate like you're running out of time. A birthday poem for Greg Luna, dedicated also to Angela Luna, Tony Limbrazo Luna, and Lin-Manuel Miranda. 1. Separated from his love, Angelo studies stoicism, obsesses over stats, keeping an eye on the latest from the WHO and the CDC to tell him where his head is at. Perhaps his studies will lead him to develop the New York City grit his mother denied him when she tore us from our home state so that she could spend her days hiding. All I know is I admire him. I must respect his wishes regarding our time outside the house. He's keeping us all safe, and in return, I enjoy the gift of time with him. It's all we have in the end. 2. Lockdown inevitably changes one's perspective. I now realize that I suffer from self-created, ego-driven paranoia, all of which are illusion and a colossal waste of my limited time. Or that I spend too many moments worrying about bullshit. Being isolated from family and friends since late 2001 has forced me to reconsider both freedom and independence. Meanwhile, the world burns, and an evil thug has his rich knee on the neck of our democracy. 3. On this day when independence from monarchy is reduced to a mindless, heartless, nutrition-free cartoon of patriotism, I marvel at you, my brother, an anomaly in our contentious family, a truly peaceful person, and the only one able to broker peace when shit goes down. Wish I had an ounce of your ease to soothe my troubled mind. It is as if the spirit of our grandfather, his tranquility, the quiet power of his equanimity, had leapt into you, so that you might embody the harmony this energy affords. I'd love you for it. 4. Yesterday, as we watched Hamilton, crying and laughing and experiencing a resurgence in our love for the Republic, a hawk appeared suddenly on our back fence, and everything froze. You should have seen it. Yellow and red and ferocious majestic, and completely indifferent to our petty worries. We caught a brief glimpse of true freedom and realized how lucky we are to be alive right now. So the last line of that is from Hamilton. And of course, I was late to the party, but people my son's age and younger were really into it. So it's a big deal to be able to watch this together. One of the bright spots in that time. And then a fucking hawk on the fence. How far away was the fence? Maybe like where Rebecca is or something from the couch.
Wow.
Yeah, just right there. So I use a lot of found material in my poems. And in this one, there are a bunch of quotes from a great video. Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin in France in 2011. I think it's Montreux. Does anybody know? Live at Montreux. Is that the right way to say it? Not sure.
Montreux.
Yes.
Montreux.
Yeah, I'm that guy who doesn't know how to pronounce French words. Invitation to Illumination, Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin, live at Montreux, 2011. It's called the spirit molecule, the energy at the core of Corazon's desire, beaming stream of white-hot spirit coursing through us, Close your eyes and listen to its pulse. You're too young to sit down. Shake off the molasses and find the serpent's shimmy, basking in its delicious madness. Shaman, she will deliver thee from regret and disharmony. Walk the path gods have traversed before. Make a conscious choice to make every day the best day of your life. He looks at Cindy with deep affection, wonder, and appreciation, marvels over her with the same love, devotion, surrender which comes over me when I gaze upon you, my queen. So, let's see what I got. So I do these poems that I call collage poems because it's a process of using different kinds of found material, but arranging and rearranging the lines until I get them to some place where I feel like it reflects my consciousness or my heart. So this is one of those. Some songs perhaps hold a certain unsettling knowledge. Today is the day I follow my intuitions. Images, visions, projections, divination, transpose my observations into a language of my own. Art is mistakes that we love, medicinal poetry, a perfect exposition of mind. The design has its own narrative. It becomes more than just a simple object. There was an insatiable need to try to create a language for something that I felt was there, that was real to me. It was a language out of necessity. It was what sustained me. No is always on the table. There's some magic in working with the negative. This dilemma of existing in a liminal space. That conditioning, that story, is in me. There's so much potential in that uncertainty. You risk nothing, you get nothing. The idea isn't to blend. The idea is to be a witness and a party to something that takes your breath away. I enjoy the result of clashing together different images, objectives, and personalities as well as contrasting styles. I have never worked thinking about the results of anything. It's not really a choice. The possibility of synergy and accident in the coming together of different creative powers is what is interesting for all parties. Space itself is important. Art functions through empathy. When you see someone else who is struggling with something and grappling with something, that creates a space for finding that within yourself. People love symmetricality. I like to touch every part of them, literally splatter myself all over the place. The only reason I was able to do so was because I was held so preciously by somebody in that scaffolding. Your calling is to be still. Preternatural witness of things yet to come. Signaler calling urgently from an emergency. The poet must not close his eyes, must not avert them. We need to keep decolonizing every day. There is never any end. There are always new sounds to imagine, new feelings to get. You better enjoy the moment, because you may not get another one. That's hard to say. I didn't say it, so I'll say it again. You better enjoy the moment, because you may not get another one. No growth without loss. All artifice is temporary. All structures are just temporary. The only thing that stays real is the energy. Experience each day as a gift woven around wonder, a moment of realization. Reality really is love and the spirit. All boundaries kind of disappear. Everything is just beautiful. See the light in everything. Bring it into the world.
Yes.
So I used to, in a sort of a defensive way, tell people during readings who some of the people were. But when I publish these, there are notes and you can see what the person said. Sometimes I'm taking a phrase and not all of what they said, and so I'll give you all what they said in the note. But anyway, if any of you are curious, I'm happy to tell you later. Some of you might have heard Kendrick Lamar there, right at the top. The challenge of how beautiful a life can be, Charles White. As the realization that I was predestined for a life of mine first occurred, I could not have predicted the chasm between internal chaos and external mystery, the gap between perceiver and perceived, the thing itself enticingly unreliable. No time for that which don't grab me, stir my soul. Collapse time so hard, the white heat burst and swirl and explode outward, to connect me with all beings, sentient and inanimate. The paradox of breath, the unconscious certainty of love. Let me be generator and receptacle. Dance with me. Feel the electricity each time your delicious beauty were close to me. say thank you to Igor and Becca and everybody. Please do, please do go to the book club GoFundMe and support them and try to keep them alive here. I just couldn't be happier to be reading to humans. That's not to say that on Zoom that there aren't humans involved, but virtual humans, it's a little bit different. And you can't touch them. I mean, you could touch them, but it's a little weird. Touching your screen on. So one of the things I like to do at any poetry reading where I'm reading, whether it's an open mic or I'm a feature, is to read something that is untested, or it's new enough that I'm not even sure what it is or if I like it or not. So I decided that I'm going to end with that this time.
So new shit.
New shit.
Yeah.
So this is some new shit that involves that process of collaging I was talking about. At the center of our wounds is the elixir of our healing, Suzanne LeGrand. My first dip into hybridity, a very succinct vision, tracing knowledge. Do you know how easy it is to cause serious disruption? The thinking, the provocation has an impact on people, the ones who are able to hear it. What I hope is to be out of time, not simultaneous, but always becoming, always not yet. To be that clear and wise and true. It's all love speaking about love. Occasionally, bursts of incandescent light, tender perfection. The power comes from giving it away. I am in love with the world. I will be crowded by beauty until I die. Thank you. I will be leaving the stage. I just didn't want to be that guy that knocked over the prize.